tonight, wait tonight. Bets are off. I'm gonna find my way tonight, wait tonight. Won't you talk to me? I wanna heal your sorrow. Won't you talk to me?
Hello, friends, and welcome to the CEA Overwatch Grand Finals. My name is Jeff. I'm here with Man of Class as well. We have got what has grown into quite the grudge match coming up here.
It really has. I mean, it's Microsoft versus Amazon. Microsoft 365 No Scope, I think, is still their name. They have always had a long name, so it's ridiculous. It's always amazing, and it's been the reigning championship name for like a very good few seasons, and they still seem unbeatable. But I think, and so do a lot of people behind the scenes, that Amazon right now is probably in the best state they've ever been in terms of rosters. Because they have a little bit of a rework. I mean, they had Amazon Overwatch, they had Amazon Fire Force, and they merged a few of the two. And obviously, not everyone could stay on board, unfortunately. But they do have a very strong lineup right now, which is probably, like I said, best poised to potentially take away that crown from Microsoft finally.
Well, they kind of got the best of both teams from
Yeah.
my understanding. So, and we were talking about this kind of before we went live, that they really come alive in playoffs. Like they really start to shine in the postseason. This is a team that is good in the clutch, but we'll see. I mean, this is a tall task. This is the 5th time, Glassy, that these two teams have played each other this season. Every one of those matches previously has gone in Microsoft's favor.
It has, and again, it's not like that's necessarily unrealistic. I mean, Microsoft is still the team to beat. They're still very strong. They have a lot in their war chest, even in terms of substitutes. But that doesn't mean that Amazon doesn't have anything to play with. Like we said, they do have the best roster that they probably can ever have, and they are looking very strong. They had to go obviously through the lower bracket, as you call it, but even that they just 4-0'd IBM Squid Squad. So yeah, Microsoft versus Amazon. It's where we're at. I don't know. I do, but
beating IBM, that says a lot, honestly. And not just beating them, but cleanly sweeping 4-0. And if memory recalls, IBM is the only team to take a game off of Microsoft all season long. So the reason Microsoft is 8-1 as opposed to 9-0 through the regular season. And not only that, not only did Amazon take IBM down, but Amazon also got 3rd place finish the regular season with one of the most difficult strengths of schedule. Had to face a lot of difficult opponents, and still put up a really strong showing before they even got their playoff buff.
And it's what they do, right? Like they just play either a hard season, even if they play an easy season, they'll drop a game here and there. Sure. It's fine because it doesn't matter. Like nothing matters until you get to those playoffs, and that's where they are right now. So this is everything on the line, and we don't even have to worry about if they lose 2 maps, they're done. No, this is the first of 4 series. You're gonna get to see a lot of maps of Overwatch, at least 4. That's what you always say, but potentially more. And on top of that, we also get to see the best mode in the game that will no longer be there in the near future, which is Assault. So we are definitely seeing it because it's the 4th map type, but we see at least 4 maps, so we get to see it, and I'm super excited about that.
Classic coming through with the hot takes. Best map type in the game is actually Assault. Hey, at least for a tournament setting. I don't know about my ranked games, but at least for a tournament setting,
it's good. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? Amazon coming for the crowd. I mean, and you know what they say. If you're, if you're gonna try to take out the king, you best not miss. So we'll see. We'll see if Amazon's accuracy is on point coming in today. Like you mentioned, it is going to be a 1st of 4 series. First map is Control, and we are going to Nepal to start things off. So we're headed to the Snowy Mountains here for map number 1.
I'm looking forward to this one, honestly, because I think Nepal is underrated in its diversity. Like a lot of teams will have this preference for Lijiang or Busan. Some teams even prefer Ilios, but Nepal is very rarely on the team's favorite lists. And I think CEA especially is one of the few environments which we see teams actually pick Nepal. That's the one they want to go to. And the reason for that is, it varies a lot. Some teams are just oh, we really like the specific way this map plays, or we have a specific strategy for specific points. There's always something going on with that. And I just think that they're going to have a lot of fun with this. We're going to see some fun strats. We might see some Wrecking Ball on Sanctum. We might see some May on Village. It's all that type of stuff, which you don't always see in the highest level of play.
No, there's a lot more micro metas kind of built into these maps at this level. And speaking of Sanctum, looks like Sanctum will be our first round, our first sub map here. Start things off. Got got that big pit to worry about. Got those long sight lines. Ash definitely could rear her head here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just speculating at this point, though. It's we'll see these teams' strengths fly.
It's what they pull out, right? And yep. I mean, one thing I do know is obviously there are a couple of these players that have these signature heroes, these heroes that we know that they're good on, and it's honestly going to be a hog battle here. Flexo and Senior Cheese, both a very strong hog play, and I kind of really want to see what they're going to bring out here, because this is the hog map, right? It's where you hook the people off the map, you hook them in the abyss, and they're both running it out of spawn.
Yep, both teams going fishing here to start things off in our first map. As we're just getting a slight tech issue ironed out, and we'll get right into this action. Microsoft coming through on the left-hand side, looking to go through the small room here to start things off. I think they're just going to drop down and try to get some point presence here in the beginning.
I mean, someone's got to take it first, but they do really want to find the side room just to make sure that they have the control over not only the room but also the top of the room. And it does seem like with the aggressive play, especially with the Pharah, Kage Kami, they are able to push it ahead a little bit further, put a little bit more pressure onto Microsoft. And with those 2 extra picks, they are looking to be in a dominant position right now.
And first control means so much here. Particularly on Sanctum. You can get up and start holding that choke and not allow Microsoft to get any presence, not even allow them entry inside the Sanctum. Amazon can really start racking up some good percentage here early. Oh, it is Microsoft who comes up with it. All right.
They do. Yeah, I mean, we missed a little bit of that, but we are back in the game now. You see 30% and counting already for Microsoft. So they took it during that fight, the control. And Big EZ is already on a flank trying to figure out where they can place this pulse bomb.
I think that landed on... Oh, no, did get the far. It was a good job just to get out of there. Big E's able to avoid the follow-up on that flashbang. I was worried it might have stuck the hog there for a moment. It may even have, but subsequent damage, quick kill. Biggie's going to follow up and take Maiden out of the fight as well. So bulk of the healing now gone as Biggie gets a nice 3K here in this fight and already over halfway to capping this first round.
I can see the switches come out as well. Like they just want to deal with the range a little bit more. They want to figure out a way to stick together a bit better. And Jahan hasn't really been doing that much on the Pharah. Like Flexo has actually been doing a really good job of hooking the Pharah out of the sky to get the Smex helping out with the 2. And now the fact that they've got their Brigitte, this is also why they switched to Soldier. They can actually do a lot more healing against that Tracer.
Transcendence forced out early. And Swoo is just going to circle around to that left-hand side. Try to keep those tanks up as there's a battle in this small room. And Swoo, oh my, comes out with 2 great picks after the Transcendence. Make it 3 here for the Zenyatta. Well done.
Yeah, I'm looking for the pun there, like swoo, how about something else, but I just can't figure it out. You know, it's the swoosh that you hear when the ball comes smashing into your face, I guess. But yeah, that's the first round to Microsoft in honestly a fairly dominant fashion. There were some good showings here and there for a couple of players on the side of Amazon, but it was just a tough one. And because it's control, because you only have like limited time to actually adjust to anything, that really quickly put you on the back foot. And while that first fight started off a little bit in their favor, they just couldn't really deal with especially Big EZ on the Tracer. They were just all over the place.
Yeah, pesky Tracer. So much mobility, so hard to lock down. And we are going to see Chickenality sticking with the Brig. I think it's your best hope. I mean, the Cassidy worked to some effect and can certainly control. I mean, obviously still have that flashbang, still have that CC available. But Kage Okami opting for the Reaper here. Up close and personal damage. It really indicates to me they're trying to focus those tanks down first.
Hypno Beam and Senior Cheese now on the Sigma and the Hog. Of course, something that we have seen happen more and more as time's gone on. But with Maidon being picked this early, this is already a tricky fight to win.
Yeah, losing the Ana first thing, that's just brutal. Vicky Z follows up with another great shot, getting that kill with the recon arrow. Now moving on to the point, you can see 2 tanks moving on as well. And they're just going to clean up and force Amazon back. This is going to be first control going to Microsoft yet again.
I think this feels like one of those situations where it's not necessarily that Microsoft is that much better, it's that they're just really good on this particular map right now. And that's just a trend we might be seeing. I mean, it's one of the things in the rest of the series where you're just going to see it go back and forth, depending on who has the map pick. It's a very real option. Right now, Microsoft is showing that at least on this map, they're having no trouble taking out Amazon.
Yeah, and if Big Easy's able to get these dragons, if it does, Amazon makes it out, but they run right into a barrage. Stelios are able to pick that far out of the sky, and a lot of trades going back and forth. Still some good presence available for Amazon, as we see Flexa moving across the top, gets the hook onto the Swoo. He's going to drop down onto this objective where there's just one lone Sigma left, and Amazon are going to start grabbing their first percentage of the map.
It's great to see, and obviously the early pick, especially on the Senior Cheese, is just a really good thing to have. It's just the Hog, getting the Hog out of the way provides you with so much extra movement and safety to walk around. You don't have to worry about the hook at all. It's probably the biggest kill threat on the entire field at the moment for both teams. And then Flexo just running around, getting the hook on the Ana. It's such a boon to have that. But Smex finds the end of the hook themselves.
Yeah, Senior Cheese able to get that one in. The shield was just barely too late. Now a nano boost on to Senior Cheese. Lands another hook. Nice nano from Maiden. Keeps Stelio topped off and in this fight. Staying competitive as Kage is able to pick up one. Bionade on the Flexo. They've got it back out of the corner. Oh no, that Gravitic Flux is going to take them out of the fight. Oh, something nice. Heals. Maidon gets there in time, despite my expectations. And Smex doing a good job of keeping Amazon in this thing, keeping it competitive, eventually taking down from the hyperspheres of Hypno Beam. Microsoft flipping it back over.
Microsoft does get the flip here, but they'd had to expend a lot of ultimates. So now you'll have the Barrage, you'll have the Valkyrie. That's pretty much it. On the other side, they won't have necessarily that much to work with, but especially Chicken Alley's Sound Barrier could be a huge thing to deal with. And then Flexo for some extra area control. Yeah, I can see it happen.
Flexo moving in, not able to land that first hook. Taking a lot of damage as the Barrage comes in over the top. That's going to pick up one. Kage goes down. Was so close to that Death Blossom, too. Could have been a real point clear. But one by one, Microsoft are finding these kills, and it's going to be a reset from Amazon.
There's a very quick cleanup. Like they couldn't even, like you said, couldn't even get the Death Blossom online, couldn't get the Sound Barrier online, and those were just two tools that were going to be very important for that fight. Obviously, the upside is that because the fight was so short, Microsoft didn't really get that much ult charge either way, so they're going to have nothing to work with next fight. You're going to walk in with almost all your ultimates. Even if the fight goes like 10 seconds, they'll have them all up.
I'm curious how aggressive Chickenality wants to be with the Sound Barrier. They just use it right on cooldown and try to make a push here to steal this point back. 94%, and it's 2 kills going either way. Kage does get that Death Blossom out to try to equalize. 4v4 as Amazon steps on and flips the objective. Jahan still trying to pepper in from the outside. Senior Chief is going to move in with the whole hog. A lot of that got eaten up by the kinetic grasp of Stelio, who now has that Gravitic Flux in the air. Gonna pick up one with that. Finds Hypno Beam, who's so close to one of their own. Hypno Beam is low, has the ult online, but Smex has come in and cleaned up. Amazon do a great job of taking the point early and finding the kills.
This is going to be a very, very interesting end to this map. Once again, I mean, they didn't have to use other ultimates on Amazon's side, which is good. I mean, they could have just blown it all, but they very clearly realized that Microsoft had nothing to work with. And if they didn't have that res on Biggie Z, I would have been worried, but they won't have it for the rest of the fight. The pulse bomb from Specs already out, and they actually fall. That's not a good start to this one, especially with the Gravitic Flux following on the Ana. Maiden has to be very careful here.
Yeah, and has to use the Bionade just to save themselves. A big tool to try to take down the Hog in particular. Flexo does receive the nano boost, but Jahan has managed to find the angles from the outside. Hog on the point, trying to bring this back from the DPS ults that Microsoft have thrown in. It's going to be a 99-99 final fight. Oh my, as Kage storms in, finds 3 with the Hellfire shotguns, buys enough time for Steelio to get back on this point. It's a tank v tank battle, a 1v1 fight to the death here. Here comes reinforcements, class.
Yeah, both tanks have a support with them. It's the Ana and the Moira, but Hypno Beam is looking to be finally overwhelmed by way too many members, but he's going to get supports coming in soon as well. There is at least a Tracer, but the Hypno Beam falling first is a good start for Amazon as they do go back and forth.
Death Blossom underneath gets taken out by the Barrage. I did not have Barrage over Death Blossom in my rock, paper, scissors, but Jahan showing us the way and showing Amazon the door right back to spawn. Microsoft are going to flip this thing over, and overtime is going to dissipate so quickly. No one's going to be able to touch. It's going to be a 2-0 on this map, but Amazon made Village really, really close.
Looking at this, it could be a very, very close match overall, but Microsoft did look to have a little bit of more control. Obviously, first map, it's control. It's the first control point. It's a lot of chaos, a lot of, you know, it kind of feels like a warm-up map a lot of the time, so there's no reason at all to be worried for Amazon just yet. But of course, it is a nice start here for the 365 no-scope squad.
Not a bad start at all. I mean, kind of what we expected is it is their map pick, you know, and like you say, the ability to go to a playground of your choosing, to where the geometry of the map, the geography of the map really fits your play style. You've got a set plan. Is, you know, an advantage to Microsoft from the beginning. Amazon certainly had their work cut out for them, but now those tables have turned, and Amazon will get to choose as we're headed to hybrid for map number 2.
Hybrid, it is, I mean, I would say it's almost undoubtedly going to be King's Row, but
Wouldn't hurt my
we
feelings.
are happy to be surprised. There is definitely an option to we get something like Icon Ball and maybe Hollywood. Blizzard World's been fairly popular lately as well. A lot of teams that started to like that map, but Numbani is also something I'm always partial to. So we'll see what these teams actually want to go for. They do actually get to pick. It's not us deciding. We're just here to talk about what they decide, their choices, their decisions in life.
It's true. It's true. I think Numbani's a great shout. I mean, like that one certainly wouldn't hurt my feelings. There are a lot of other great maps out there besides King's Row, but hey, you know, King's Row is a classic for a reason. You know, it was the second map that was ever designed for this game, and they did a bang up job on it. It's has a lot of room for different compositions, different options. Of course, classically home of the Reinhardt in the Brawl. Looks like we are getting a couple subs coming in here for map number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that's something that a lot of teams will actually have, planned out, like who does play what map, depending on what map you do actually get. I think they got the opportunity to pick Numbani. I think they chose Numbani, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, well, we're gonna see that come out soon, and obviously Numbani would be more of a dive map, which depending on who you ask, there might be a little bit of a better dive team. That being said, there's a good chance that I lost my track of thought. There's a good chance that we're going to see more dive here. That being said, Roadhog kind of works here as well. If you like, especially if you want to take over that high ground on attack or defend the high ground on defense, there's a lot of Roadhog to be had, a lot of Roadhog to be done. So there is a good chance that we'll still see that, because both teams do like running it. Like, they do have those Roadhog players. Right. But depending on who is like subbed in and subbed out, we might see some changes there.
What's a good way to counter the Roadhog? Roadhog obviously going to be very prominent from what we've seen so far, and looks to continue throughout the series. What would be a good way to counter? I mean, do you think they should perhaps bring some long range hit scan out? Obviously, the Ana with the bio-nades can do a lot to kind of shut down a Roadhog, not allow for that take a breather to continually heal and can quickly take it out of the fight. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that was kind of the thought as well when the Ana did get played especially by Amazon, where they're like, yeah, we'll just anti-nade sleep it, etc. But if there's so much pressure on you by like tracers and other things, you don't really have the space to work with in order to actually look at the Roadhog ever. So we'll see whether that becomes a factor. But long range hit scan works if you don't have first point high ground to deal with. Like, a lot of the time, it's hard for hit scans to get into position there. So teams prefer to go for things like Pharah, like Genji, like Hanzo. They can easily get onto those high grounds from the other side where there's no stairs. Like, I know if I play Numbani attack, I just go in with Hanzo. I jump up on the right high ground because you can just wall climb up there. And you kind of can do whatever you want. But you can't really do that with a soldier. You can't do that with a Cassidy. You can't do that with Tracer. So it's a little bit more tricky to do. And it also kind of depends on where the enemy's holding. Like, it's a map that is as close to Assault without being Assault as it can be, which is also a lot of players might actually have an aversion to it. It's one of those things where, because there's such a very particular and coordinated way that you have to attack it, and it feels very defender favored, especially that first point, it becomes very like an Assault map in the way you have to attack it. And therefore, you have to be very particular about the way you do things as a team.
Yeah, the timing and the positioning are extremely important, and extremely it's a fine line. A fine line of you're talking about trying to take that high ground. When do you take it? Do you have the protection? Do you have the ability to pounce and really break open the defense? Microsoft coming in here with a 1-0 lead in the series. They're going to go on the attack to start things off. So Amazon now in the blue jerseys, left-hand side. We did get a couple of subs, as I mentioned. I fail a lot coming in for Maidon. And we got Wacko Backo coming in for Kage Okami.
Yeah, it's a nice swap up. At least it's a swap up. I don't know if it's nice. We'll see if it's nice. I'm assuming they have a plan for it. But yeah, no, Wacko Backo will be the hit scan coming in for this. Kage, of course, more of a flex DPS player. So that might have something to do with it when I have the range. And especially on defense, Soldier has always been a very nice pick. Just from the high ground, raining down, Soldier's playground, shooting gallery, all the key words that you want to have for a Soldier in that situation. And we do indeed see those dive tanks come out from both sides. Jahan back on the Pharah, not a surprise at all. Let's see how well the defense deals with that.
And Big Izzy choosing to assault this high ground right out of the gate while the tanks move on to the objective. Oh, but Hypno Beam outstays their welcome. Gets taken down. Smex did a good job on that one. Good start for Amazon for this first defense. Without the Winston, it becomes increasingly difficult. Trying to bring it back in. No, not even the defense matrix is enough to protect the res. It was a good idea, but a better boot. Coming out of Flexo knocks Yomi off of that res, and it's going to force a reset from Microsoft.
This is going to be Microsoft having to try again. And, you know, obviously no one has really built up a lot, but because they took so much damage, Swoop will be close to a nano, so they can just initiate with a nano Winston, which is most likely what they're going to do, and then go from there. If they nano another target, that's fine too, but that would be the most logical in my opinion.
Yeah, certainly the most common, and if Hypnobeam can get onto the backline, can find IFAL or even Chickenality, it will break this point right on open. Swoop 96% to that, but there's a lot of low health bars here from Microsoft. Jahan able to find that kill, finds some healing as Yomi
there we go.
attaches, and then yeah, there's the nano boost. Hypnobeam on top, it gets slept immediately. Nice move from Chickenality. Try to devalue that nano and find some safety. It's built up to one of their own to try to respond. Oh, but it's not quite up in time. Stelio Cantos and I fail a lot. Both fall before Chickenality is able to get that important ult online.
They do get the nano boost onto the soldier too. Has got the tech visor, but I don't think Wacko is going to use it here because there's not really a lot of targets to go after. And this is what you want to see. You want to see those dive duos, whether it's the Winston and Tracer, Winston Diva, Diva and Tracer. Like, they all have that thing where they synergize. And one of them alone has so much less impact. Like, that support is what you love to see. So Flexo and Smex really doing up for that. And that's kind of what I wanted to see from Hypnobeam and Senior Cheese especially. Like, if you dive that Ana with the nano, just because you have the nano doesn't mean you can't get slept. You want that Diva there just so she can eat the potential sleep dart or the anti-nade. Just, you don't have to like help kill the Ana. You don't have to do that, but you just have to be there to stop your Winston from getting slept.
Now we got the Pharah trying to pepper in. The two tanks are positioned below the Pharah at the moment. A lot of ults online here from Microsoft. They move in. You see Senior Cheese following Hypnobeam in this time, who's popped their Primal Rage. They are going to find that D-Mech onto Flexo to start. Barrage is going to find IFL a lot as well. So +1 here. Ooh, Jahan at 1 gets taken down. Nice move from Chickenality as both tack visors come out, but Senior Cheese able to get up in the face of Wacko Backo. Take the soldier down. Looks like this one might have just been the ticket here for Microsoft, but Amazon did a good job of whittling down that time bank.
We haven't really talked about Stelio Cantos that much. They're still alive on the win, so they got slept in their primal on the mega health pack, unfortunately. So they're just going to come back alone after the rest of their team has already fallen. But there is time for a recontest. They do have the positioning, do have the members, and especially their Transcendence will help out a lot. No CC against that one. Good anti-nade, though.
Yeah, Flexo gets just whittled down through the Transcendence. Does force some ults out, but unfortunately for Amazon, the recontest will not succeed. Got that time bank down below 30 seconds. Smex still here trying to stall. It's going to go ahead and invest the pulse bomb with it as well. Finds the kill onto Hypnobeam, but the cap comes through, and Hypnobeam is going to pop up right there next to this card.
And I have Flexo looking towards one of those things. Yeah, no, Flexo is looking here for a potential self-destruct. Will eventually come out. And you do see that they had to use a lot on the attack side to actually get something going there in terms of point cap. And we are going to see Yomi switch over to the Brigitte, undoubtedly to deal a little bit more with Smex and even some of the dive tanks, because they have been very impressive on towards Swoop.
Oh, Smex able to win the duel against Jahan. Early start here for the defense. Oh, Big Z finds the response. Both teams missing their Tracer. 5v5 here on this point. Wacko Backo trying to put in some shots from the outside. Build to the rest of that attack visor. Hypnobeam. He's had enough of that. He's going to jump in. Just kind of run them back. Force Wacko Backo to rotate back around the main street. Nano Boost online here for Chickenality. Go back onto Stelio Cantos. But I feel a lot falls. The Zenyatta out. That means the Discord Orb is out. That's going to make life a little bit more difficult here for Amazon to try to confirm these kills. Primal Rage into the back. Chickenality at 15 health. Little help from the Soldier 76. Able to finish off Hypnobeam just in the nick of time. Is going to respond with the Nano Boost. That one going on to Wacko Backo, who's going to pop the tack visor. Primal Rage from Stelio Cantos finds 2. And this is another good hold, and Microsoft are running out of time.
This switch in from Wacko just to play the soldier is working out great, and I love like the rediscovery of soldier. I don't know if you've noticed this, but ever since that Overwatch 2 beta, everyone's playing the legs again, and it's so brilliant. Like, I'm loving it.
Turns out speed and self-healing are actually pretty good.
Right?
Not even just consistent damage output.
Yeah.
Well, neither soldier close to their attack by this point. It's just gonna be all the neutral for those two, but there's some self-destructs coming out. Senior Cheese able to take down Chickenality into the back, and it's just Zenyatta healing remaining here for Amazon as they try to fend off Microsoft. 35 seconds on the time. Jahan able to pick another kill. As this is Microsoft once again kind of in their final opportunity, able to find success, but you still have Wacko on the high ground. Tac visor out. Scrambling for cover, Microsoft is able to just duck it and dodge around it, and there's no fatalities on the back of it. Now headed up there, Senior Cheese going to challenge. Went out of defense matrix and decides to drop back down. Wacko just stubbornly holding on and allows time for reinforcements to get here. Big Easy throws attack visor as the overtime is about to start.
OT on point 2, not something we see a lot of the time, but now we're going to look at what the situation is for both, and both Primal Rages are coming close, as well as potentially the self-destruct. No remake kill from Flexo. That would have been a really funny one in the middle of it. But with both teams losing members here and there, this is still anyone's game.
Yeah, there's a rally up, and Microsoft have gotten the ultimates online. If they need them to close it out, they're going to go ahead and invest a few. Find some success on the back of it. The self-destruct will buy some space as well, and just forces the defense of Amazon in a bad spot. It was a great hold on point B, but Microsoft eventually get to add 90 seconds to that time.
This is going to look like a close finish if they can keep this going. They don't really have a lot to work with in terms of, trying to snowball this. Primal Rage could be huge if the Hypno Beam is able to pull it off. But there is a little bit more to work on the other side, especially that Nano Boost and then the Technical Visor. That's just going to put a big difference on the board.
Yeah, and Steelio Kato's going to go and drop the Primal Rage and try to buy time for those two ultimates to come online. Good healing keeps Steelio in the fight. I thought they might have to back out sooner, but wonderful patience and good heals coming out. Big Easy with the Widow Swap finds one. Hypno Beam headed into the back. Good dodge, sleep guard on that one, but took a lot of damage and just has to rotate back out. Good space here, though, especially with Steelio going down. Microsoft are in a good position.
So unfortunate that he kind of had to use the Tech Visor just to counter a Primal Raging Winston. That's not what you love to see. Maybe trying to get Jahan for a nice pulse bomb. They're coming out of spawn, but can they even get out of it? Lucio might be able to touch, but no. Doesn't get on, it gets booped away, and that is 22 seconds on the board. And what looked like an unfavorable situation, and with even that self-destruct coming and getting 2 post rounds, that's unfortunate. It looked like that was possible to hold for Amazon.
Oh, and they did such a good job on both the point A and point B defenses. Getting through point C with only 90 seconds is quite the feat. You never see that happen, Classy.
Yeah.
Somehow Microsoft were able to just steamroll that thing through. The cart never stopped, and they even finished with time.
Point 3, that's where you hold. That's the rule of Nubani.
That's where you hold, exactly.
Yeah, you don't hold on B. But it felt like they put so many eggs in the basket of holding on B in that last fight that I don't know if they were like shook, but it didn't feel like they reset for the next fight on third properly. Like they didn't have a lot of time. First of all, they didn't have a lot of space. Like normally you're able to set up like around that choke on third and like the tunnel and make sure that you hold them in there, play the corner, play the buildings a little bit more. But they never really got that space because they lost the fight so late. It was a good job for Microsoft to actually push forward, make sure that they took away the opportunity to hold that far forward, and it essentially turned into almost like a one-fight situation. And especially that Primal Rage from Hypno Beam that took so much out of positioning and ultimate charge, etc. on the side of Amazon, it really just turned into a very sticky situation, and they came out on top of it.
Yeah, Hypno Beam really did get a lot of resources out, and it kind of left Amazon high and dry. But hey, they get a chance to respond now, heading on to the attack. Wacko pulling out the Widowmaker. I like it. I like it. Big Z sitting up here on this high ground, here with the rest of the team, while you've got Hypno Beam just kind of keeping an eye on the second floor of Hotel, which is actually where Amazon is going to try to approach this objective. They do force Hypno Beam off of that high ground and try to find some room for Wacko Backo to set up there and put some shots on the opposing side. Good heals to start things off. Interrupted. Celio Cantos moves up and starts putting damage on Smooth. The response is there, and Biggie Z has enough time to finish off Chickenality. The Ana is gone, which means Celio Cantos cannot survive, and it's going to be a scramble from Amazon to try to regroup.
A very, very strong showing here from Wacko Backo to get that Widowmaker working. It's always a tricky one on this point, but they do get the pick on the Hypno Beam. With their own Winston being resurrected, there is an opportunity to get some good attack going here quickly.
And I think Yomi had used Resurrect in that last fight. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get Hypno Beam back up, so just have to wait for the natural respawn, which means it's up to Senior Cheese to go challenge this high ground.
And with that health, they can't really do that alone. Nice dragon, though.
Huge dragons. Oh, my.
It is
easy.
The biggest fear, and it's the biggest satisfaction as a Hanzo when you know they're all in that tunnel, because there is never enough space to get out of it. Unless you're already in either of the doorways, you will get hit, and you will most likely get eliminated. And just realizing that and staying in that, especially staying in that tunnel, was just not a good move on the side of Amazon. Like, obviously, you don't always know, but they could have figured that that was probably online after 2 minutes.
Yeah, that clearly did not take it into account, and they got punished for it. Hypno Beam receives a nano. Is holding them inside this small doorway once again. So next gonna throw some dragons of their own. This one coming from this top right-hand side from the attacker point of view. Hypno Beam trying to chase him down. Next trying to stay on target, but now there's a primal rage there. Hypno Beam very angry, just punches Smex back into spawn. Celio Cantos trying to respond with one of their own.
Yes.
Oh, no. Get res. Oh, yeah. Wacko Backo goes off the edge. It's going to be another big hold here from Microsoft. Biggie Z showing up once again. 3 kills in the back end of this fight.
The tank game is just so on point from Hypno Beam and Senior Cheese. Like, even if one of them is down, the other one can kind of do the work for both sometimes. And it's kind of ridiculous to see that happen. Because it's not like Flexo and Celio Cantos are, you know, slouches on their tanks in any way, shape, or form. They do actually see the Wrecking Ball come out now from Celio.
They're trying to push up into this high ground. Good read from Senior Cheese. Just gonna go back and help protect the DPS. Oh, now there's
hallways.
Yes. Smart move here from Jahan. Went down to as low as 7 health, but the cooldown is popped. The heals are there. And now Biggie Z has another dragon online. What remains of Amazon attack are on the high ground. Flexo's gonna fall. And this attack is just falling apart. Amazon gets separated and just kind of pulled apart at the seams. Flexo is gonna get res back up, but they're still so low in numbers.
It's those small plays where, like, I don't have to eliminate them, I just have to put a bubble between them and their supports so they can't get healed. It's like it's the classic Winston move. You know, if you can't kill their backline, if you can't kill their DPS, you don't have to. As long as you just provide them no access to each other, they'll eventually fall over because of the rest of your team. And it's just something that Hypno Beam, and especially Hypno Beam and Senior Cheese as well, like, just doing very well. They have so many ultimates left, like, no one's gonna make it. This is gonna be a Microsoft win, 2-0. They're trying to speedrun this one, Bullskunk.
Yeah, they have yet to give up a single point. Not on Nepal, not here on Noombani. As we're going to take another look at this great Dragon Strike going through the hallway.
I can see it right there. Like, they can't get out. There's no way. It's one of those few points of the map. There's no space to work with. You can't go left, you can't go right. You have to go out of the hallway to live. And yeah, you just don't have the time. It's the dragons are as slow moving as they are. They're not that slow.
Oh, it's like a bad Black Friday scenario. We got too many people trying to push through the same door.
Oh no! And then it's the security guards to the sides, like, no, please, calm down.
I mean, I think Flexo was kind of the security guard on that one. They had already dropped in at the beginning of that clip, but Flexo had moved in. Excuse me, not Flexo. Senior Cheese had moved in with Hypno Beam down. And was holding him inside. There was just a lone diva, like you're talking about. It seemed like one tank could do the job at 2, between Senior Cheese and Hypno Beam, and that held him in the tiny room, and it led to a great play of the game. Also led to a 2-0 lead here in our grand finals. Microsoft halfway to claiming the crown once again. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we are headed to Assault. We'll have more for your CEA Overwatch Grand Finals when we return.
Everything that brought me alive, going wrong like nonsense, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. It's up my innocence without an alibi. Smoking gun, you got me on the run. We know that will come. We're out up till dawn, but how can I hide you without an alibi? It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my innocence. I can't wait no longer. I'm playing with the monsters. Everything that brought me alive, answers, play with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a rebel's fight without an alibi. Took my hands without an alibi.
for all you have.
Microsoft up 2-0 here in the CEA Overwatch Grand Finals, coming off of a big hold on Numbani. And, well, it means it's Amazon's map pick once again. We're headed to Assault, and, well, we're going back into the snow.
It's gonna be time for Volskaya Industries. We keep saying it. I think like every single tournament that has had Assault in like the past 4 months is like, this might be the last time we ever play Assault in a tournament, and it won't be. I mean, Open Division's going on. They have Assault in there potentially. It's like it all depends. But yeah, we're gonna see it here. Gonna see Volskaya between Amazon and Microsoft. We're getting a couple substitutes back in as well. We now have Froki in for the first match. So Jahan is finally out. Which might be a good thing for Amazon, depending on how good Froki is comparatively, depending on what they play. And we have Yomi coming in here for... No, Yomi was already in, weren't they?
Yeah, no, it's
I'm trying to
on the other
remember.
side. Yeah. No, that's Froki's the only sub on Microsoft.
Okay, and on the other side, we do get Kage Okami back in for Wacko Backo, and we also get to see Maidon play instead of Chickenality. So a couple swaps there, and of course the one on the other side of Microsoft. We're going to have no side swaps, so we're going to have Amazon starting on the defense again first, and then Microsoft will show them what they have to play with when they have to attack.
It's interesting on the subs, just the support lines are kind of rotating. So this is our third separate support duo from Amazon in as many maps. So we'll see if this is the right combination to finally try to take a map off the Kings here as Microsoft continue to just look unbeatable. It's incredible how long and consistently they have dominated the CEA, and they're already halfway to another crown.
Yeah, I mean, they're just showing up big here today. I mean, Control kind of looked like, potentially this could be something. And then the defense actually on Numbani looked pretty good from Amazon side as well. They just couldn't get it going on their attack. They just couldn't get anywhere, which is very unfortunate, obviously. But doesn't mean it's over just yet. I mean, we are only getting to map 3. There's at least, after this map, at least one more to go. Potentially more, depending on if they are able to take this. And Assault is usually that outlier. It's usually that map where things can happen, and especially Volskaya doesn't feel like your typical assault map. Like from point A being a little bit more open with high grounds around it, to point B not having the hardest of chokes to work with. It is definitely a map that I would consider to be more friendly towards even the players that don't like Assault as much. I think whenever someone always talks about whether they like or don't like Assault, Volskaya usually comes out as one of like the best, if not the best maps in the pool. So I do really like the aesthetic. I do really like the way that it's set up. And I also am really liking the option to go with the Ashe here from Smex.
Yeah, Ashe very strong on this map. Didn't quite make their jump. All right, just
you have a coach gun. Yeah.
He'll be trying to be all fancy. Don't worry about it. That was definitely a hardcore parkour moment. But good setup here on the center box. Just some easy sight lines to help pepper down Microsoft as they try to move through this front choke.
Yeah, of course, how many dynamites you hit on Ashe will usually decide a lot about your effectivity inside, your efficiency in a match. Don't get headshot by the Hanzo, just shoot it with a dynamite. There you go, that's a nice hit. A lot of damage on Big EZ, and already 20% ult charge, as you love to see it. That Echo also not really getting a lot of work done.
But Big EZ does find first blood here on this map. So it's Smex, the lone DPS, moving up to the high ground. And Froki's able to chase him down. The Mercy even taken out of the picture as well. 3 quick kills from Microsoft, and they're on track to make short work of point A.
And not something that really changes that quickly. I mean, as soon as Kage Okami went down, it kind of went downhill really quickly because you only have 1 DPS to focus on. You just duoed it up. I think Kage Okami is going to try and stall it out a little bit more. I mean, you are on the Tracer, you do have time, and the rest of the team And they were talking about it, like, oh, do we go? Do it go? Do
Yeah.
it go? And they were like, no, we're too far away. We're not going. That's a shame. I think there was an option, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, it would have taken a heck of a stall from Kage Okami to buy enough time for the reinforcements to show up, and you're feeding ult charge, which could result in a potential snowball here in point B. So I think it was a wise move. But here's the Nano engage as Hypno Beam goes diving onto the Mercy. Can't quite escape, doesn't get far enough away with the Guardian Angel. Now Hypno Beam's going to claim some high ground as the Dragons are tossed to the right-hand side. Hypno Beam picks up yet another one. See Froki and Big Easy are going to help focus down the tanks. Flexo is in a bit of trouble. Oh, the focusing beam will finish them off. Amazon tried to stall this out, but I feel like cannot get the res up. Doofus returns immediately, sent right back. Infinite Flux comes in, Steel Kantos with the one hope that Amazon might have to stabilize, but already 90% picked up. Nano Boost is in, Steel Kantos is still alive on this point. Reinforcements are starting to show up. Hypno Beam gets hooked out of the final range, already below the half health mark. Froki does eventually take Steel Kantos out of this fight, and Microsoft are just relentless on this attack.
Meteor strike time, but they gotta get some eliminations. They still haven't gotten elimination on the side of Amazon, and if you don't take any of them out, you're never gonna relieve any of the pressure that they're putting on your points. And 4 minute 37 is just, I mean, it took you 2 minutes and 23 seconds to get that entire map done. That's not a lot of time. It's like one ult cycle essentially, which is stupid to think about.
Yeah, I mean, that's anytime you're adding time to the bank after capping point B, you did something right. And Microsoft pretty much did everything right on that one, doing a great job. I love they peeled back just a little bit after the Nano was thrown in. Microsoft did a good job of kind of retreating to cover just long enough to get their cooldowns back and to keep everybody alive. And then they're able to strike back with a couple more ults of their own and close it out. So just a really clean attack from Microsoft. Nice and crispy.
Right beside you.
Looking here, Biggie Z on the Hanzo. I mean, has been doing work for a couple of maps now, and on the Hanzo still is doing a lot. I am very curious to see how this Froki Sombra is gonna work out. I mean, we all remember Summer's release. She was awesome on Volskaya, but back then you could still hack health packs and they would give you ult charge when teammates used them. Hasn't been the case for, I don't know, 4 years now. It's been a while.
Quite some time. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those where it doesn't provide the same amount of value, but against what's often being run on the side of Amazon, it does get a lot of value. In hacking a Hog, hacking a Sigma, hacking a Tracer, it's a very big problem for you if you are one of those heroes.
The hacked Hog is just an ult battery. It's just you're just soaking up damage at that point. There's really nothing you can do about it. It takes away the threat, takes away the heals. Kinetic Grasp cannot catch the arrow, and Smex is going to catch that one with their forehead. Immediately back in spawn and immediately at a disadvantage. Amazon continue to try to push, but now are missing both DPS and are kind of stuck here in the tire room. Is that a mechanic shop? What is that over there? Like, I don't think I've ever quite figured that out.
It's always one of those things. It's there's a car, there's tires. It kind of feels like it is. It is what it is. For now, though, it is the entry point for Amazon to get into the actual point, but they are a little bit split. Their DPS are still in the center, and that is provided with a little bit of crossfire, so that might be helpful if they can get some value out of it.
Oh, and I like this decision. Oh, but didn't expect the Hog up there. Oh, no. I see what you were going for there, Kage Okami, but Senior Cheese had the idea first. Good hook in return, but it's Amazon not quite able to finish it off. Hypno Beam does eventually go down. It looks like Amazon trying to decide whether they want to stick around in this fight or not. We see Steel Kantos pushing forward. Was Hypno Beam getting res back up? I thought I saw a duplicate there for a second. It was just the res, like it was the color of the Sigma. Threw me off there for a second, class.
Yeah, it's sometimes a bit confusing, isn't it? But
just for a split moment, yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing here that we're going to be seeing whether or not this Dragon Strike is going to be comboed with anything. I mean, you could very well combo it with the Gravitic Flux, of course, but I don't think they even need that. Oh, they are going to do it.
Just narrowly missed. And now the Flux comes in. It's going to separate Flexo from everybody else who is almost to that whole Hog. Hypno Beam able to pick up the Ana in that interaction as well. So Amazon, once again, just getting punished before they can complete their entry rotations.
Looking here. Proki, I mean, still have the EMP ready as well. Like, they have so many tools still in the box. They just used 2 ultimates. Still got 4 left. You know, don't even have to worry about it. On the other side, they will have 6 now coming up for Amazon soon. But they have to get the opportunity to use them. And, you know, if you get EMP'd, you can't use an ultimate. So they got to be careful about that one, too. And they do... Oh, the Valkyrie to open. And they get Big EZ. That's a good opener.
Bulk of the damage gone. Proki was hiding out behind the team, waiting to use the EMP, but still you have to pull the trigger on it. Now would be a good time. Does not get Steel Council out of it, but it doesn't look like the Gravitic Flux is able to do a whole lot of damage. I think a hook came in. Flexo with a whole hog, able to pick up 1. Now chasing down Swoo, who's stuck in a corner, is able to find that one as well. Nanobu's thrown in, and it cost all 6 of those ultimates from Amazon to make it happen, but they do indeed finally get onto this objective. They've got 2 ticks already. Microsoft close, but they're not going to contest.
See here whether or not Maidon will be able to provide their team with all the support they need to capture point B as well. They're already behind in time bank. Like, they're not playing for the time bank itself. I think they mostly have to be playing to have time left on their time bank when they finish, if they finish. That's why they get another attempt.
First, they got to deal with Big EZ on this high ground. Steel Contest able to do so. Nice bouncing around of those hyperspheres, using that to your advantage. 2 people caught in that Gravitic Flux, both tanks as a matter of fact. Steel Contest still low. Finally, the healing starts coming through. Kills here for Amazon as they push on to this objective. One of those would get rezzed up. And Big EZ immediately making good use of that second lease on live, but nobody gets on point. Amazon able to sneak this one out, doing a good job of holding everybody back in that small choke. And I think that's about as good as they could have hoped for on that attack.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they get it with 2 minutes, they can still get 2 minutes on the clock right now is, I wouldn't say it's miraculous, but it's definitely the best they could have hoped for in this situation. And now they will have a chance to attack first again, so set the pace themselves, and then they have a second chance at an actual defense. Because let's be real, there wasn't really much of a defense to speak of in the first time around, so they actually get the chance to do that. And with the amount of time they actually sort of, I wouldn't say wasted, but lost on first, the fact that they're only a minute and a half apart is definitely the best case scenario for them. So very nicely done, and this might be the point. I mean, they have to start turning it around at some point. Might as well be now, right?
No time like the present. I'm curious if they make any adjustments. Knowing what's they're likely to show. I'm curious to see if Amazon changes anything up. Smack showing us the Cassidy here. That's certainly a change. We still have 17 seconds or so to change their mind on that. Not looking at a whole lot of changes for the defense. Brokia on the Soldier 76, taken to the high ground. Big EZ is going to hold center box for as long as they can and try to make Amazon's life difficult here in our second round of attacks.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Nice defensive setup again. Soldier on the high ground, get the Hanzo next to it on the bunker, and then just tanks on the left. Supports just set up as safe as they can be. It is a little bit of a further back setup though, so you are relying a lot on poke to try and get the other enemy team out of the way, and they do have a little bit of an easier entry as a result. So don't have to worry that much about getting choke health.
Yeah, but the more time you give Froki and Big EZ to land the shots, the more dangerous it becomes, as some tanks were traded out early in this fight. A little bit of a Soldier 76 battle. As Froki drops down to the low ground, has already used that heal station and just has to retreat to the mini. He's going to head back up to the high ground. In the meantime, it gives time for Flexo to find the kill on the other Roadhog. Dominating the hog battle. Big Bionate in, though. That one found 3 or 4. Flexo's going to fall. I fail a lot. Eventually goes down, and Swoop picks up 2. What a play from the Ana. Swoop's going to get another one. Oh, my goodness.
Time's gonna tick back a little bit. They did get that first tick at least, but almost a second one. Unfortunately, they didn't get it, but they are now in a position to just walk through, get another tick, and potentially the second one too. And no one really has a lot of ults online yet. I mean, Froki and Senior Cheese are the closest ones to one, but not that far away from the others. And Yomi going down early, that is huge. No more mercy. But then their tanks fall on the other side. Amazon getting such an advantage and just straight up losing it again.
It's so hard to close the gap against Big EZ when you've got just Senior Cheese in your face the whole time. Hypno Beam with all this disruption.
Yeah.
And look how far Big EZ feels just comfortable playing up close. They're not even They're bouncing around quite a bit, but you know, keeping up close and personal in these fights.
It is one of, I think they need to like pick a lane, so they need to all just walk through a specific area. You can see they're already splitting up, and the split up works unless you get picked off like that. Like then it just becomes a split push. You get taken out 1, taken out 2, taken out 3, taken out 4, and that is pretty much done and dusted right there for this attack. They did get a tick. 65% is not nothing, but it might not be enough with 3 minutes 30 on the clock.
Yeah, it's a lot of time for Amazon's defense to hold when, well, in the first go around, they were not able to stop Microsoft on either point A or B. It was 2 attacks, 2 points picked up from Microsoft, which what led to that great time bank. They actually finished with more than 4 minutes, but with the time being adjusted, they lost a minute off that total time. That was a good change, by the way.
It's a change, yeah.
We saw less of the 7-6 assault maps. I thought it was
for anyone that's confused about the change that we're talking about. So whenever both teams end with over 2 minutes on the clock, it gets reduced for both teams equally until one of them reached 2 minutes total. So that's why Amazon had 2 minutes on the clock, and that's why there's 3:32 on the clock for Microsoft right now. But yeah, it was a good change. It definitely helped out, making it feel a little bit more balanced, making it a little bit more fair, so you don't get those extra rounds that you didn't really need a lot of the time. Like it can be decided earlier because otherwise they just do the same thing 4 times, and now they just do it twice instead of 4 times, which results usually in the same exact thing. It just gives a little bit more hype, a little bit more weight on each individual round.
Absolutely, exactly. Yeah, it felt like it had more impact for sure. All right, Amazon need to put up a stalwart defense. Try to take their first map off of Microsoft, or Microsoft are heading up to championship point. They just need 65.1% here on point A to make it happen. Big Z sticking with the Hanzo, of course. They've been so good on this Hanzo pick today. Look at this, right out of the gate.
Straight up.
Nice protect on the
does
res.
come out.
Yeah, Smex is back in this thing.
Then over, Bastilio's under a little bit of pressure. Does get healed up by the Ana, and do they got Froki. That's the res out for both teams now. And the pick on the Big Easy. That's a big one out of it. That might be already it for this push. But you know what, Microsoft, they don't give up just yet.
No, they're not resetting. They're going to continue to fight this 5v6. Do have to deal with Kage Okami in the back line, who's getting a lot of work done and drawing a lot of attention away from Microsoft, forcing 2 or 3 members to turn around and fight that, which allowed Flexo room for a hook. Got the DMEC on the senior cheese.
And that's the thing, right? Like, as soon as you don't have to worry about Biggie Z with a one-shot on your Tracer, which happened exactly when they came back, you can have more freedom in that backline. You can do a lot more what you want to do, because there isn't really anyone else aside from the hook, which is easier to dodge, that can normally get you. And they don't even have to road hook this round.
No, running with the D.Va this time around, so don't even have to worry about that. Nice hook, speaking of, from Flexo into this fight, and despite Kage going down early. And so far, so good here from this defense. Amazon have already burned a minute off the clock.
There's the road hug back from Senior Cheese. There's Hypno being back on the Sigma. They're just going to mirror it as much as possible, aside from the DPS. And we know how good they are on these picks. Like, it's going to be so much harder now for Kage Okami to get the value out. Not because of the Matrix, because the Matrix was, you know, it was there, but it wasn't that big of an obstacle. Because the extra stuns, the extra CC they have to worry about and dance around now.
Right on with a good Bionade to start things off. Hypno and Senior Cheese couldn't heal there for a moment. Nice hook from Flexo. Finds a very important pick onto Hypno Beam. The front line has now been whittled away. Froki does strike back, and the run back is quite a bit longer here for the defense of Amazon.
It's a Tracer, though.
It's still an opportunity.
It's still further.
For a power
It's
play
still further, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, we gotta look at the ultimates as well, right? Because aside from the pulse bomb, everything's online for defense, but they're coming in with 4 of their own on the attack now. Good hook on the block.
Yeah, that keeps Stelio Kantos from getting that 50% damage down on every target. It just gets absolutely interrupted. But Flexo has been outstanding here on this defense. They will take down Swoop, but they can't protect the res. All right, so Swoop's back up. 2 supports back into this battle. Nano Boost going on to Froki. Froki's going to take Stelio Kantos out of the fight. Flexo continue to try to hang on here alongside Kage Okami. Senior Cheese is able to use that take a breather and top off that health, then drops a whole hog, gets interrupted out of it. Didn't quite see where the interruption came from. Oh, it had to be an accretion rock from Stelio Kantos. Big EC. A threat as always with the dragons, is able to get a second kill. Now putting some hooks, some shots down onto Ifeil a lot. Oh, gets that nasty headshot onto the quick little tracer as well. A difficult shot. Not for Biggie Z as they clean up on this fight. Once again, the Hanzo dominates. It took them the entirety of that 2.5 minutes to get it done, but Microsoft will take map 3.
That was, they did so much to shut down Big EZ, and then the one time they get through, that's of course when the fight just immediately ends. It's unfortunate to see if you like that one player has that much of impact, but it's not the only person. I mean, he gets to play the game, but it's not the only person. Like, it's because the rest of the team is so good at making space. The rest of the team also finds value. I mean, you see Senior Cheese constantly with the hooks. You do get Hypno Beam as well, doing a lot of work on those tanks. It's not as easy as just saying, oh, it's this one person or it's this one thing that's going on. So yeah, I mean, there are about a 3-0, but it's definitely a team effort, and the support, like, and again, support's strong as well. Like, it's Microsoft. Like we talk about all the time, like they are just the team to beat, and they're still looking to not be beaten.
And it's certainly a team effort. I mean, it is the combination of all those skills in tandem, and a lot of synergy there too. I mean, you can tell that Microsoft kind of have. They know what each other are going to do. They know what each other are thinking. I mean, you can see the comms are good, but this seems like one of those squads where they don't have to comm everything because they just know. They're just in sync, Classy.
I mean, after all these seasons, it's not a surprise, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of how that goes, and we're gonna see some interesting swaps coming out right now. Like Stelio Cantos gonna go over to the DPS role. I'm gonna see Smex step into that main tank role that they've been filling before. So no other swaps coming out on the side of Amazon. They're going to go over to Escort now, which is arguably a better map type because they don't have to fight about these static objectives like they've been doing for the past 3 maps. They have to actually, move a cart, which is something that look pretty good for them on Numbani to stop, but they haven't actually been able to start one themselves. And looking to go to Junkertown, I'm fairly certain.
Okay. This map is unlike any other map in the game. It is so open and so interesting. It is so wacky. All 3 points are so very different. I think it's got the most variety of any of the Escort maps.
Yeah, I'm going to one of those, right? It's gonna be Junkertown. I mean, I just want to see some sniper battles. Like, I know Big EZ has a more than serviceable Widowmaker in it, but we've seen Wacko Backo do fairly well on the longer range hit scan as well, so that might be a good matchup. Jaehan's coming back in, so we're gonna see some projectile. But honestly, Hanzo is still a really good pick on Junkertown, so it might also be the pick. I don't know what they're gonna go for because they have so many options and they've been showing well on so many options. But on the other hand, it's not broken, so they shouldn't have to change it if they don't want to. They don't have to switch it.
We saw Jaehan play a lot of Pharah, and I mean, there's just not much room for a Pharah to work in this map.
Yeah,
you just don't have a lot of cover. So I'm curious. I mean, wasn't the only hero we saw Jaehan?
It's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, maybe an Echo because you have a little bit more mobility. You can fly on the ground a little bit better. But yeah, the Pharah is most likely a no-go. Yeah, I just really want to see what Amazon's going to do with that change in the tank line and DPS. So they do Stelios Cantos actually out, so it's going to be Wacko and Kago Kami now playing together, which was that was not necessarily their most successful. It's a different DPS duo. They haven't played together yet because it was Wacko and Smex before, and then Kago Kami and Smex. So Smex has been like the consistent DPS there. So now that they're switching into the tank role, we're gonna get those two together as DPS, which could be very interesting. I think they don't necessarily overlap each other's hero pools too much. So this it could be something that's very effective. We do see Maidon switch out again as well for Jiknali, so a lot of swaps again on the Amazon side. Not that much going on the Microsoft side. They're just they're kind of content with playing what they do, aside from swapping one DPS out. But then again, like I said it, they don't really have to do anything. It's that's what it is.
It's working. They're on championship point. And in pretty dominant fashion. Well, Skya was the closest, and the first time that Amazon's gotten some points on the board today.
Yeah.
Despite, I mean, it was such a good defense on Numbani. Amazon held it to overtime for both point A and point B. And I bring that up because we do have a similar style here. So, I mean, it was like one fight win away from Amazon putting up a full hold. I think there's a possibility Junkertown is their map pick. I'm guessing they've got a plan coming in. I would love to see them pull this back and really make a championship out of this. We know they're capable. We know they're capable.
We know they are. It just like, just being capable doesn't get you wins all the time. Like there's capability is one thing, but you also need to put it into practice, right? It's the potential versus the results. And right now the result isn't really speaking in the favor of Amazon, but there is the opportunity for them to come back on this map, especially if you can put your players into like favorable hero compositions, favorable heroes that they want to play. And I think Wacko on the Widow, Kage on the Hanzo, and then Flexo on the Roadhog is really strong. We haven't seen Smex on the tank, but I have no doubt that they know what they're doing. So we'll just see what comes out on the other side of it. And Jaehan Genji would be super spicy.
Super spicy indeed. No, it's.
I like the debate. Of course they're debating it.
Of course. I'm just going to pick up the other Shimada brother. While Big Z takes to the Widowmaker. We are going to get our Widow duel. So, you love to see it. Big Z has been a huge threat all day. Backo's got their work cut out for him. Nice! Grapple shot off the top. Almost got the work done there for Big Z. Holding high ground for the moment.
Grapple shot. Ooh, that would have been a good one. They were a little bit off, but they were close enough. I'll count that as a good attempt.
I'm terrible at grapple shots. It's always impressive. If they're just close. Ooh, the headshot there, but it wasn't fully charged. Both of those Widowmakers made contact on that shot. Both respect it and fall back. Wacko hasn't quite gotten fully healed up.
Kage cheating. You can't meddle in the Widow 1v1. That's not how this works. I mean, an elimination is elimination, I'll say, and they do get Smex on the other side. And since there is no Widowmaker on the defense, no Mercy on the defense, they will not be able to take that back. Wacko in a very awkward spot here, and that looks to be a fairly easy point one take, unless they're able to sustain until the respawns come back in.
Immortality feel protected. Chicken out. He threw that arrow. Otherwise, that'd have been dead. That was a split-second decision. Ant Matrix is ready. The tanks are back. Can they get to it in time? Dragons come out. It's going to split off with some of the people. Jaehan finds Flexo as they emerge. Woo! It turns around some nice shots. Oh, no. I feel a lot. 3 in a row there for Jaehan. As the recontest just gets absolutely demolished by this DPS duo.
It's just a victory lap almost at this stage. I mean, they're not there just yet. Junkertown is very known to be especially stallable on third again, but we've seen how that worked on Numbani, so I'm not gonna hold out hope just yet. That being said, with the ultimates being fairly even on both sides, there's a good shot here for the defense to hold a little bit longer. We do see Wacko go back over to the Soldier. Did have a lot of success on that on Numbani, so I'm not at all surprised that they're going to go back to it.
Yeah, and Big Z's going to have to play a lot more aggressively as a Widowmaker just around this sharp corner. Finds that really important, valuable kill right out of the gate. Now Hypno Beam's going to find 2 tanks here with the Gravitic Flux. Dragon's thrown in from the defense to try to prevent follow-up on that, but Flexo and Smex are both really low. And it's a +2 to Microsoft as they continue to storm through Junkertown. Smex still standing, still in the way, but eats a hook. Now down to 18 health, and that's not going to last.
It's definitely not going to go that easy if you are on the defense right now. I mean, they do have a lot of ultimates. They could potentially recontest with a Transcendence if they can get it up on time, but I don't think they're even going to attempt that. Oh, they are. They are going to already be on it. Don't even need to use a Transcendence for it. I feel a lot will fall. They get pushed off the cart. That's point B taken 5 minutes and 5 seconds to get into point C. Hypno Beam does get taken out late. Got to be a res at least expended, but in the meantime, you're just losing players on the defense. You got to get out. You got to reset. You got to set up for a proper defense on third, where this could be a very, very, very short Junkertown.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. I feel a lot had the Transcendence. The contest was there, and then immediately I feel a lot just takes an arrow to the head. Now Dragon's coming out from Jaehan, just kind of throwing him into the back. Was hoping that Amazon were trying to push in through the little pit here that's currently at the bottom of your screen. Hypno Beam with some powerful high ground up top, putting in a lot of damage. Senior Cheese interrupted out of that whole hub, but kill still favoring Microsoft right now. The one casualty they suffered is rezzed back on the board. Full 6 from Microsoft, pushing forward with authority. And now have eyes set on the back of Junkertown.
4 minutes on the clock still, and they're already approaching the last point. One fight, and this could all be over. It could be an extended one, and there are ultimates online. Wecco's Tech Visor could be huge. There's nothing to really stop it, unless he just gets blown up with a one-shot ability of some kind. Does get at least the elimination on Senior Cheese.
Yeah, the Ant Matrix finally coming out from Chickenality to great effect. Look at that, the supports coming up with 3 kills. Here for Amazon and buying them a new lease on life, at least a little bit of room to breathe and get properly set up here on point C.
I like how they're just, you know what, we're done with this. We're just going to use everything, well, not everything we own. We're going to use a little bit more than we might actually need to in normal situations just because we want to make sure we win this fight. Like, you want to make sure it's over. You want to make sure they're resetting and just get that team wipe, which they did. But they did expend, like, especially the Graphitic Flux didn't really feel like it was necessary. You get both their tanks out of the way. There's no way they're going to actually be able to take out your entire team and push that card in time. That's just not going to happen. But just having that security from doing the team wipe is something I can very much understand.
Yeah, I can't fault them for that at all. And they still have a little bit to work with. It's not like, you know, it's not going to quite fit everything. Hook and somehow gets around the shield. I don't know if the shield was just laid or if Cedar Cheese threaded the needle, but either way, that was spectacular. Oh, that was gorgeous. Speaking of gorgeous, 2 great kills for BZ on the Widowmaker. Do lose their Mercy, so the res is off the table, and Microsoft are relying solely on Zenyatta heals. Now that's not even in the cards for them. So it's going to have to be a quick fight win if Microsoft want to take this here and now. Senior Cheese discorded. I mean, they're taking 20% extra damage. They just got to run away, and a bit of a soft reset. Microsoft looks to be kind of stalling for time, trying to get those supports back in, but Jahan falls.
Imagine getting support diffs right now. That's just what's happening. I mean, Big Easy is trying their best to get it back, but it is ridiculous how strong this is right now. Like, this Zenyatta Baptiste combo is doing so much extra damage. They do have to really watch their heads at the moment, though, because Big Easy is not stopping anytime soon.
No, Big Easy has been on an absolute roll. 3K there in that fight. Respawns are so good, but Flexo just feels the brunt of that damage. That Widowmaker just immediately puts so much hurt down. Flexo's just kind of caught off guard, caught out in the open. Smacks under similar results. Big Z is just landing every single one of these shots, majority of them, to the head with those red arrows, and it's enough for Microsoft to finally reach the Queen's throne here in map 4. Microsoft looking to take a crown of their own.
They still took 3.5 minutes off that clock on third, but the fact that they still have a minute and a half on the clock kind of shows you how quickly they went through the rest of the map.
Yeah,
it's I'm not saying it's not necessarily worrying just yet. To me, it's Junkertown after all. You can get into extra rounds here. It's what happens quite often, but it still shows, especially Big Easy just popping off on that last point. Like, that was something else. I mean, I know we talk about clutch Widowmaker sometimes, but that wasn't even clutch because there was nothing to clutch. It was just, I'm gonna eliminate them and then you walk in and gap the points. Like, I've done my job at that stage, which is
and then some.
kind of, yeah, it's kind of a lot. I mean, speaking of Junkertown being a wacky map, I mean, you already said, you know, the Queen's Throne, got the Junker Queen's voiceover on the map a lot of the time. A lot of the time, we don't really talk about it, but, you know, this entire facility only really exists because there used to be an Omnium here. This is where Omnics were made at some point. I mean, it's not there anymore. It's kind of destroyed. In that dome is where the mech battles happen right now, but it was there.
I would love to see more of those mechs. You know, we've been teased the Junker Queen for a number of years now. Jeff Kaplan teased the Junker Queen back when he was still.
Oh, she's happening. She's happening.
Oh, she's already done. I guarantee you she's done. They probably had Junker Queen ready to go before they even decided to go with Overwatch 2. But that's a discussion for a different time. Amazon's chance to go on the attack. See if they can overcome the spectacular Widowmaker Big Easy has been just destroying them with here through this map.
They should be under a little bit more pressure on the defense on the Widowmaker. There's not as much space you can take and space you can abuse on the defense. Like, you have to run away a lot more. You can't, like, your angles are a little bit tricky to take, or you have to go really aggressive like they are going to be trying to do right now. Not really anyone in the way, though. And yeah, the SMG fight you will lose from a soldier any day of the week. Good opener there.
Yeah, it was a very aggressive angle for Biggie Z, perhaps even a touch greedy. And a good read from Wacko Backo to protect that flank. A couple of quick picks, and Amazon have gotten through point A with a wonderful amount of time. They have just cruised on in, and they're going to get this garage door open.
They're cruising and bruising. They're in the zone. They're not losing just yet. It's Hypno Beam going to try and come from behind with the Wrecking Ball. This entire setup is... It's a bit peculiar. I mean, a lot of it relies on you getting these very obnoxious one-shot type of situations. There is a little bit of spam damage you can do with the Hanzo and the Hog, and even with the ball to a degree, but you're very much a very bursty type of team. Like, you're very easy to take out unless you hit those shots, and that's what Microsoft is banking on right now.
Which means, though, the longer the fights go on, the more opportunity Microsoft has to land those shots. So quick fights are really favor Amazon, and more that they pounce on these kills and really keep the aggression up, the more likely they are to continue to steamroll through this map. And so far, they're getting the job done. A couple of good picks on the back of this means the defense is working from a deficit. Jahan trying to reduce that deficit with some dragons over the objective, but just gets taken down. Mercy Heal's not enough to keep him up. 2 kills do come in on the very back end of the fight.
Yeah.
Trying to roll in their Transcendence as well. Is it enough to get reinforcements for the defense?
What do you do if the target moves around too much? You just make sure it doesn't move, or you turn on your aimbot. Either way, it works a treat. Nice hook on the side. Oh, Senior Cheese. That was a clutch play there. Otherwise, they might not even been able... I think if they hadn't been hooked, they might actually been able to cap the point there. But that's neither here nor there. It's still plenty of time to get point B. And, I mean, you were saying, right? Like, the longer the fight goes, the more opportunity there is to hit those shots. But the problem is that the longer the fights go, they're not going to be able to get on the cart because they don't want to get close, right? So the longer the fight goes, the less space they'll have to work with. So the opportunity to hit the shots will actually also be even less. Like, there is not really a win-win. You have to hit the shots before the fight even starts.
Biggie Z not able to do it just yet, despite having the Emphasites up and being able to see the entire team through the walls. Help set that up. Jahan finds one that's immediately traded back out. Transcendence this time coming from I Fail a Lot, and Amazon strolled forward. They put down the supercharger, but the war drums are taken out immediately as a minefield comes in from Hypno Beam. And everybody who was on that cart had to scramble and gets taken out in the process.
They really put themselves in the kill zone there. I mean, there's high ground around you where the hit scanner just feasting on you. There's the ball that just rolls around, the hog that's waiting in a corner. Like, they're putting themselves in the center of where all these shots and all these sight lines are coinciding. So they had to find a way to clear out some of these lines, some of these positions before they get to the cart, because otherwise they're going to keep walking into that same problem.
Yeah, going to the low ground is extraordinarily dangerous, as I Fail a Lot just found out. Swoo is going to get res back up, and this defense looking strong once again. Amazon trying to just muscle it through Main Street. We managed to pick up one, but it's going to be the only one here on the back end of this fight. Now Chickenality and Flexo are kind of just stuck in a corner. If No Beam gets hooked, but here comes Senior Cheese to bail him out. Returns the favor onto Flexo.
No better cheese than a Senior Cheese. I mean, if the cheese is too young, it's just all like gooey and it just doesn't land flavor a lot of the time.
Yeah, but
like you talk about this. Yeah. Talk about the Senior Cheese here. That's the real cheese. And they're not even playing that cheesy of a comp. That's the thing. Like they understand how a well-aged Overwatch comp looks.
And it has been quite delicious.
Oh no!
Oh, that was a long range. That was a max range.
That's the max range hook right there.
Oh my!
They're putting so much effort into trying. They're putting so much effort into trying to disable this Wrecking Ball. But the Wrecking Ball isn't really the problem. Like Hypno Beam is annoying, yes, but a lot of the time he's just setting up for everybody else.
And really, I think Amazon's making life more difficult than it needs to be as they continue to push through Main Street, and then Hypno Beam comes in and everybody gets distracted trying to focus the ball, and it buys time for Jahan and Big East to land these shots, for Senior Cheese to get these hooks in, and now the defense has a full 6-pack of ultimates ready to go.
Going Hypno Beam in the room. They wanted to use the mines, but they got cancelled, or at least very small, in a very small area put down. So now they have the opportunity to walk in, and there's the hook. Of course, Senior Cheese just walks into that, but they do get Yomi, no res on the Wrecking Ball. This is an advantageous position that they're in right now, but they need to not walk out with the squishy heroes first. Be aware of where the Roadhog is and push that position. Oh no, they weren't aware. Even if they were, that's a hook, and it's death.
And Swirl using the Transcendence, coming in from behind to help reinforce the team for the second time on this point. And buying those precious seconds for those that had been forced back to spawn to get back into the fight.
30 seconds.
Microsoft does have to back off a little bit here. They're forced to give up a little bit of space as Amazon rounds the corner. Amazon coming in with the Gravitic Flux, and she's able to get that hook before, lifted it into the air. The only one affected by that Gravitic Flux, and just heals right back up for it. Now an ultimate of their own. The Accretion Rock is laying it out. Senior G's able to trap him into the corner with that whole hog, doing so much damage. It's 2 support ults come out in desperation. There's only 5 seconds left on the clock, and Amazon on their last breath, on their last leg. Microsoft will continue their reign of dominance. This one is clean as ever, as they are going to take this championship in a 4-0. And for, what, the 3rd season in a row, Microsoft will be your champions here at the CEA.
It is almost impossible to count the titles that they have, but we can because we know, because we have the data. But Microsoft, yeah, they win another one, and with such a dominant surrounding composition, with the poke, with the angles, it was almost impossible to get through. Amazon couldn't find the loophole, the loop, the opening in the net. The maze was never found, and the puzzle was never solved. Unfortunately, Junkertown is where this series ends, where the finals end, where the playoffs end, and where this season of the CEA ends. And that does mean that we do now finally know who is getting what. Of course, these teams aren't playing for their own enrichment. They're playing for their ego, their pride. They definitely, for the company pride, they show that Microsoft is still the one and only company that can bring a team to take away the Overwatch Cup. But that doesn't mean that they are the only ones that are getting benefited from this, because of course we're always playing here at CEA for a couple of wonderful charities. Wonderful thing is, these companies bring their own charities. They decide who the money goes to if they manage to snag a championship. And first of all, we have to give the honorable mention to IBM Squid Squad. They got 3rd place after all, so they do actually get to give some money to a charity themselves, $384 to be precise. It's going to the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. So a wonderful cause, of course, making sure that if children do have to go to hospital, they actually have a better environment to be in and better cared for them. 2nd place now, Amazon's charity, To Write Love on Her Arms. For those who are not familiar, it is a charity that focuses on supporting treatment and recovery for people suffering from depression and loneliness. And they're going to get a wonderful donation of $1,152. But of course, the big prize from Senior Cheese and crew themselves is coming from Microsoft to the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Suicide Prevention in Life, lifeline.org. Sorry, it's a different one. But yeah, obviously also a helpline with a lot of support for suicide prevention. If you have ever have any issues, or if you sometimes you just need someone to talk to, but also if you're really having those thoughts, if you're really struggling with something like that, they are a wonderful place to find some help, to find some way of getting out of the darkness.
That's important stuff. And that's awesome. I don't even know really how to follow that. Like that's such.
I know it's always such a good thing, right? And I would love to. I always love to be like, oh, let's just talk to the teams, talk how they did, etc. But unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity today to like just get them to talk about the charities and get them to talk about how their games went. I know I am going to try and find them. I'm going to try and find some voice channels and just talk to them about it, because I always love talking to these people. They're not just great players; they're just great people all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, you guys won't be able to witness that conversation.
and during the match and in between games, when we were on camera, there's a lot of friendly talk. Like there's seemed to be nothing but love between these squads, and everybody out just fighting for a good cause. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I love working at CEA. It's been an honor to be here. It's been an absolute pleasure. Big shout out to Marauder Shields and Gigi behind the scenes for making this work, and for doing all the tough stuff, on the back end of this event.
Yeah, we
And
just have
a
to talk. They do the real work. That's always what we say,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Huge congrats to Microsoft. Still the team to beat here at the CEA.
Yeah, another season, another Microsoft win. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe next tournament they'll have to play a new game and have to completely change everything up. We don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. But I'm sure there'll be more info on that soon. Of course, if you haven't played in CEA or you're finding out about it for the first time and you're like, what is this? They don't just do Overwatch. They do, most competitive games, really. So if you are a company or part of a company and you're like, oh, we might want to find some more team building exercises, or I want to like find a way to meet more people from my company outside of my department, CEA is a great place to do that. Of course, you do actually get to also potentially give back to charity. You get to like work with new people. You get to meet new people. A lot of these players are still actually talking to each other outside of CEA, getting to work on new projects or interchanging with departments. Sometimes even crossing borders, because sometimes there's like international division. You get to play from people in another country or another state or something like that. They otherwise normally wouldn't meet. It's great team building. It sure beats sitting in a room talking about your problems, because you can do the same thing while playing a game.
Indeed, you don't need trust falls. You can just be a mercy and trust your supports.
Right? I mean, trusting your support. It's way harder to trust your support than doing a trust fall. I can assure you that one. Like being able to trust your mercy to heal you is sometimes very tricky, because they'll just be at that Farah. You see them flying. There's like, I need healing too. It's one of those. But I mean, and it's not. And again, it's not just Overwatch, right? Like whether you're talking, they added Apex Legends this season, Valorant, Rocket League. I'm probably forgetting, like chess is a thing now as well. I mean, it's less of a team game, obviously, but chess does exist, and it's also being played here at the Corporate Esports Association. So yeah, if you feel like it, maybe convince your boss, or if you are the boss, or if you are part of the people that make those decisions, maybe consider it for a change. It's definitely a great initiative and a great way to meet, again, to do team building, to improve communication, to find out new ways that maybe you can do something different, like in the corporate environment as well, outside of the esports.
It's certainly a wonderful thing, but that is going to do it for us today, at least for Overwatch. Do have some Apex action coming up to you next, but otherwise, we will see you then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thank you for hanging out with us.